Immaculate Constellation. Could the government really be hiding a secret UFO program? Recently, independent journalist and author Michael Schellenberger published an article on his subscription news site Public, alleging that a new unnamed government whistleblower had come forward. The whistleblower asserts that a highly classified program exists dedicated to unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, what we call UFOs, including the potential recovery and reverse engineering of UAP technologies. This is not the first time a former or current government official has made similar claims. In 2023, The Debrief was the first media outlet to report David Grush, former Air Force officer and intelligence specialist with National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, had filed an official complaint with the Intelligence Community Inspector General, ICIG, alleging a Department of Defense cover-up of UAP information and the recovery of alien technologies. And according to Grush, the U.S. government has recovered several vehicles of exotic origin attributed to non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or otherwise unknown, based on their unique vehicle morphologies, material science analysis, and distinctive atomic arrangements and radiologic signatures. Grush later reiterated these claims under oath in testimony before Congressional Subcommittee on National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs. However, in Schellenberger's recent article, the purported whistleblower went a step further, revealing the name of a highly secretive program, Unacknowledged Special Access Program, USAP, codenamed Immaculate Constellation. And reportedly, this program involves investigating, recovering, and attempting reverse engineering of alien technologies. While interesting in the grand scheme of things, this new whistleblower's claims leaves us in a familiar situation. A fascinating story that is nearly impossible to verify, but this does not mean the underlying theme of these whistleblower claims is not worth exploring. And in his article, Schellenberger quotes the unnamed source as saying, "The executive branch has been managing UAP NHI issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades." This statement raises a crucial question. Is the U.S. government even capable of maintaining a program under such extreme secrecy, hidden even from congressional oversight? Given incidents like the Snowden leaks, the Vault 7 disclosures, and revelations about CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques during the War on Terror, it seems likely that if conclusive evidence of non-human intelligence existed, it would have surfaced by now. And furthermore, the sheer amount of bureaucracy involved in any government operation makes the idea of hiding a secret UFO program, not only from the public but also from Congress, seem nearly impossible. However, the truth might be more surprising. In the last 2 years, I received unsolicited phone calls from 2 different high-ranking government officials. Since these conversations were mutually agreed to be off the record, and this is an opinion piece, the writer says, I'm not bound by the Debrief's formal editorial policy requiring attribution that preserves their anonymity while confirming their credibility. That means I will keep details like the agencies they work for and the positions they held private. This information is also not germane to my overall point. And I'll share that these individuals reached out because I had apparently gained a reputation in certain circles as an outsider with a deep understanding of the intricacies, nuances, and bureaucracy of national security. Additionally, I'd previously reported on the government's involvement with UAP matters. In both cases, these individuals sought my opinion on whether I believe the U.S. government could maintain a UAP program with the level of secrecy described by alleged whistleblowers. My response was maybe, and pointed out that historical and legal precedent supports it. In the mid-1990s, several former employees of the infamous Area 51 in Nevada sued the U.S. government, claiming exposure to toxic chemicals from the burning of classified equipment and materials at the secretive test site had caused them a host of deathly health issues. And while they sought financial compensation, the former employees' primary goal was to force the government to disclose the chemicals they had been exposed to so they could receive proper medical treatment. The plaintiffs argued that the U.S. Air Force had violated federal law, specifically the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, which governs the handling of hazardous materials. In response, the government invoked the state secrets privilege, refusing to reveal information that could help with their medical care and testify in federal court that Area 51 did not even exist. U.S. District Court Judge Philip Pro rejected the government's argument, stating that disclosing the chemicals to the plaintiffs and their doctors did not threaten national security. This ruling legally required the government to provide the necessary information for medical treatment. However, in the 11th hour, President Clinton signed an executive order exempting Air Force Operation location near Groom Lake, Nevada, from federal environmental disclosure laws. With a stroke of the pen, Area 51 was placed above the law, forcing federal courts to dismiss the workers' lawsuits. Tragically, two primary plaintiffs, Wally Kaza and Bob Frost, later died from skin and respiratory illness. Now, the autopsy found unidentified exotic substances that one of the nation's premier scientists could not recognize. The original 1995 presidential declaration, which allowed a roughly 575 square mile tract of land to operate above federal law, was renewed annually by executive order for over a decade by Presidents Clinton and Bush. The order was finally allowed to expire in 2004. The case of Area 51 effectively being granted presidential immunity is hardly the only example of executive branch easily overlooking power. In 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102, making it illegal for U.S. citizens, banks, or private companies to own gold coins, bullion, or certificates. Numerous individuals and companies were prosecuted under Roosevelt's order, including a San Francisco jeweler, Gus Farber, for selling $260 worth of gold coins. It wasn't until 1974 when President Gerald Ford signed a bill to allow into law that U.S. citizens were once again legally allowed to privately own gold currency. In 1942, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066, which authorized the forced removal of all persons deemed a threat to national security to relocation centers, and this effectively authorized U.S. government to incarcerate nearly 83,000 American citizens of Japanese ancestry in internment camps during World War II. And in 1973, the War Powers Resolution Act was passed to curb presidents' unilateral authority to deploy military forces. The act mandates that the president can only send American forces into combat after a formal declaration of war by Congress, or in the event of a national emergency caused by an attack on the U.S., its territories, possessions, or armed forces. Yet presidents have consistently pushed the boundaries of their powers as commander-in-chief, often acting without congressional oversight or approval. Now, similar actions have been taken by other presidents in various conflicts, such as in the intervention in Libya under President Obama and in Syria under President Trump. And in each of these cases, the executive branch maintained that it had not violated federal law. Now, some have argued that the executive branch managed the unacknowledged top secret programs without congressional oversight violates Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, which outlines Congress's enumerating powers. So in theory, these critics have a valid point. However, they often need to pay more attention to Article 2 of the Constitution, which grants the president broad executive and enforcement authority. And this allows the president considerable discretion in enforcing laws and managing the resources and personnel of the executive branch. In practice, this executive power enables the president to operate with sufficient autonomy, even in areas that are at odds with congressional oversight. The President's executive power extends even further when it comes to classified material and national security information, NSI. The authority to classify and declassify information stems solely from the President's executive power. In fact, the entire U.S. classification system is based on the executive order issued by the President, and this means that presidents hold a unilateral power to determine what information or programs are classified and can just as easily decide to declassify them at will. Unlike legislative or judicial oversight, this authority operates with few checks, allowing the President to shield sensitive programs or information from public and congressional scrutiny. This arbitrary control over classified material amplifies the President's influence, especially in matters of national security, intelligence, and covert operations, where secrecy is paramount. As a result, the President could technically manage highly classified programs with minimal external interference, further expanding executive power in largely unseen ways. So, given this, could the executive branch theoretically manage UAP, UFO, and HI issues in total secrecy without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization, as Schellenberger alleged whistleblower describes? Of course, sure. To be clear, this does not confirm the whistleblower's claims, nor does it suggest that the U.S. government, through the executive branch, is indeed involved in covert programs focused on UAP, UFO, or the recovery of technologies from non-human intelligence. It simply states that my personal stance as the author is that no conclusive evidence has yet emerged to support the existence of secret alien technology programs, at least not to the level required to substantiate such extraordinary claims. This brings up another aspect of whistleblowers' accusation that the executive branch has been managing this secret UAP and HI program for some time, quite possibly decades. This is by Tim McMillan on The Debrief. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.